What's going on, guys? Dan Watson, and I just wanted to show you a comparison between some different SD cards, and the reason for this is that Sony has actually only put in one UHS-II card slot, and that is in slot 1, and the other one is a standard UHS-I. So we're dealing with fast cards for one slot and our normal speed cards for the slot 2. And so what that kind of is concerning is if you're shooting RAW files, especially uncompressed RAW on slot 2 at 20 frames per second, what is that going to mean when you go ahead and put in a regular card and want to shoot dual RAW, which I do all the time at weddings, or if you want to shoot RAW plus JPEG and have your JPEGs on the slower cards. And so we're also going to test the difference between having a Sony high-speed card, their U3 card, and then my personal favorite, which is the SanDisk Extreme Pro cards, and we're going to compare the difference between all of those. So this might be a really boring test, but I definitely wanted to find out the information on this. Trust me, we're going to have some really fun stuff coming up with this camera and some real life shoots in addition to what we already have. If you haven't seen the actual review for this, definitely check it out, link below. You can also see it here, and I've got a ton of more stuff on this one. We're going to be testing with some various lenses, Canon lenses, as well as a ton of other stuff. So stay tuned, subscribe, like if you haven't already, and I appreciate it, and a lot more to come. Right now I have the UHS-II card only. We are set to RAW only and uncompressed RAW, and so we're gonna go ahead and take some pictures and see what that happens. We will start the timer. We are at 1280 on that slot, and we'll go until it starts slowing down. And that got us quite a bit right there. So right now we can see on that red light that we're still recording, and we'll kind of see how far this clears. I'm actually still able to shoot right now. And so even though I did hit that first buffer limit, I am still able to shoot quite effectively. So that's a good thing on that. We're testing the buffer on that card. So let's throw in some of the other cards and see what happens when we try RAW plus RAW. So right now how we have this set up is we have the UHS-II card in card slot 1, and we have the regular UHS-I card in card slot 1, and that is a SanDisk Extreme Pro U3 card, so one of my favorites to use. And we have that set up right now to be dual recording simultaneously to both cards, and we are also right now set up as RAW uncompressed. So we'll go ahead and start this timer and see where our photos are, and we'll go ahead and shoot this. And we did get a pretty good burst on that one. I'm not quite sure if we hit 20 frames per second, but it seemed very, very quick, and we were recording both, so we'll check that out and see how that works. Also, I am still able to shoot just fine. So that's also good to know, is that there seems to be no limit on clearing that buffer. So now we're gonna set everything up to RAW on one card and JPEG on the other, and it's letting me know that it's set the image quality to RAW plus JPEG, which I confirmed earlier. So that's how we have that set. Let's go ahead and set a timer, and we'll look at where we're shooting right now, and let's go ahead with this burst. Again, that was several seconds. I would say we're probably up to 10 seconds or more. We'll take a look at that, but overall it seemed very, very effective. So now just to test it, I have the Sony U3 card. It's just a regular UHS-I card, but I wanted to try this out and see if it's any better than the SanDisk. So we'll go ahead and start this timer as well, and we'll go ahead and run the high speed on this card. We're set right now to RAW on both cards, RAW uncompressed. So one last test, I wanted to test it with compressed RAW because this is what I'll probably be shooting most often, and this is with compressed RAW shooting both to dual cards. One is a UHS-II and one is a Sony UHS-I card, and we'll see how this fares. I definitely could notice a speed difference in that one. So it does appear that when you're shooting uncompressed RAW, what it's actually doing is slowing down the speed rather than changing the amount of photos that you can get. It still seemed like a very effective burst, but it's definitely slowing down the speed. So with that actual situation right now with RAW on both cards, it did seem to be extremely effective shooting compressed RAW to both cards. I got a solid high-speed burst and plenty of actual photos on that one. So we'll take a look at the results and see what we get. So right now it's pretty apparent that the issue is compressed RAW versus uncompressed RAW. If you're dealing with uncompressed RAW, the maximum frame rate you're gonna get is right around 11-12 frames per second, no matter what you do and whatever kind of layout you have with your card. So what we're gonna do is test uncompressed RAW, which is fine because that's the way that I would typically shoot this. So we're gonna go into here, we're set a recording medium, we're gonna go to JPEG and RAW. And right now we are shooting compressed RAW, JPEG plus RAW, and we'll go ahead and start the timer and we'll see how this does. And that was super fast. You can definitely tell that we're shooting 20 frames per second, if not really close. Unbelievably effective. So RAW plus JPEG, as long as you're shooting compressed RAW, seems to be a great option. I have no issue shooting that. The speeds seem great. I'll show you the real speeds up in the top, but overall, that's the conclusion from this test. Thanks for watching. A whole bunch of more fun stuff coming up soon, so stay tuned for that.